of my favorite gifts to give and to receive during the holidays is a great book. And who better than a New York Times bestselling author to give suggestions for holiday book gifts? My next guest is the author of such books as Bel Canto and State of Wonder. And now she's also a bookstore owner. Please welcome the very talented Ann Patchett. So nice to have you here. And how nice that you own a bookstore.
I do, and it's been incredibly successful so far.
I bet.
We've been open a month.
Now, as bookstores, big chains are closing, and it's a worry to all us book lovers that it's getting harder and harder to go and open a book and see if you really want it. It's so nice to have somebody like you having a successful venture.
We're in Nashville.
Where is it?
Nashville, Parnassus Books, and it's small. It's 2,500 square feet. It's not as big as this.
Right.
And I think that's the secret. The day of the superstore is over, and then we can have a nice little bookstore.
Well, and well-chosen books.
Yes.
And
Very important.
knowledgeable sales staff. Because I loved it when I would go in a bookstore and I would ask, what would you suggest, for this kind of person or that kind, and always with a great answer. And they're few and far between now, bookstores like that.
In New York, you still have some great
yes.
bookstores, Crawford and Doyle, and the Corner Bookshop.
Oh yes, and
Three Lives,
children's books.
Yes.
There's some fabulous ones. But I'm anxious to hear. There are 6 books that you have hand chosen.
Well, 5. I didn't.
Oh, you have to put your own.
I didn't choose that.
The 6th is Anne's State of Wonder. So why don't we go through these and you tell us why you chose them as gift books?
I would love to.
Okay.
The best thing about owning a bookstore is recommending books. I've been forcing books on people my whole life, and now I can do it professionally. Okay, so the first book is The Family Fang by Kevin Wilson. And sometimes a novel is such a great idea, I just die inside with jealousy. I wish I had come up with this idea. It's about a couple who are performance artists, and they create public disturbances using their children. And it's very, very funny, but it's also very insightful about what it means to be part of a family. The children grow up, and it's wonderfully written, extremely fresh. You're not going to find anything else like this. It's a first novel.
Fun book. Okay.
Terrific.
The
Love
Family
that book.
Fang. Now this one, I know, I've looked at it. I have not read it yet, but One Writer's Garden.
This is the book that I most wanted for you. It was done about Eudora Welty's home and garden in Jackson, Mississippi. And what's so great is Eudora Welty's mother planned the garden. Eudora Welty lived in the same house her whole life. She wrote all of her work in one house, and she died in her 90s. Wow. And when the people came in to renovate the house, they found her mother's original plans for the garden, and they renovated the garden. It's also about the history of the American lawn and how that changed over time. So if you're interested in gardening, mother-daughter stories, Eudora Welty, who was one of our greatest writers, or the history of the American lawn, it's just a brilliant, brilliant book.
And Camellias. And The Apothecary.
By Miley Malloy, who was on your program with her first book.
Oh, yes.
And Miley is a wonderful writer. She's written 4 books for adults, 2 collections of short stories, 2 novels, and this is her first young adult novel. And I'm not a great reader of young adult fiction. I couldn't put this down. From page 1, the illustrations are fantastic. It's about children in London during the Cold War who are going to save the world from all sorts of peril. They turn into birds. They have magic spells. If you're tired of young adult novels about depression and alienation and disaffection, this is about kids who turn into birds and save the world.
Oh, great.
And it's really written by one of our best writers, so it's a particularly exciting book.
And Binocular Vision.
Oh, I love this book so much. I love it so much, in fact, I wrote the introduction for it.
And you also wrote a blurb for this one, for The Family Fang.
It's true. These are my pets. These are my very favorites. Edith Perlman is one of America's unknown treasures. She is a brilliant short story writer. When I was the editor for Best American Short Stories in 2006, I discovered Edith's work. I just became a huge fan of hers. This was published by a small press in North Carolina. It got a front page rave review on the New York Times Book Review, and it was nominated for the National Book Award.
Fantastic.
And they are just incredibly intelligent, moving short stories. So if you like short stories, that's the book of the year.
I love short stories. excellent. And The Hare with Amber Eyes.
Unbelievable. Can I find a new word? Unbelievable. These are just books I feel so passionately
A
about.
Hidden Inheritance.
That book is by Edmund de Waal, and he is a ceramicist who lives in London. And he inherited 260 netskis, which are those little Japanese
Oh,
carvings,
yes.
which I always pronounced netsuki
they're
until
netskis. Oh, I
until I
know.
read the book. And he doesn't know where they've come from, but they've been in his family for generations.
They were collected. They were collected by tourists in Japan.
Yes.
And I know all about them because my ex-sister-in-law used to embellish them as fine jewelry with diamonds and emeralds and things.
When you read this
And
book,
this. Oh, I
you are
cannot
going to
wait.
want to have him on the show.
Oh, I want the netskis.
Because he travels with them. But it becomes, at first, a history of his family.
they really have meaning, each and every one of them.
Absolutely.
And they're made out of jade or
Ivory. A lot of them
yes.
are ivory.
Oh, yeah.
And it becomes a history of Europe in the 20th century.
Yeah.
I mean, it starts out as one book. It takes a turn you can't believe.
Fantastic.
Phenomenal. Nonfiction.
And now, last but not least, I have a pick, and it is your most recent novel, State of Wonder. Tell everybody about the story.
It's about a woman who is a doctor who lives in Minnesota. She is sent to the Amazon to find her mentor, who is a doctor who has gone missing. And she has gone to the Amazon to discover everlasting fertility for women.
Everlasting fertility. So
Women
are having babies in their 70s.
in their 90s.
And their 90s.
This is I know, I say it's a horror novel. But
oh, why?
they discover a tribe of women in the Amazon, very small, very secret.
It's
and
just a tribe of women.
Well, no, there are men and women, but
Oh.
the men do not have everlasting fertility.
okay.
They chew a tree and they're trying to make a drug out of it, but it's really much more about the relationship between these two
And
doctors.
this was all made up in your pretty little head?
Absolutely. Yeah. I've got a great imagination.
You certainly do, and I cannot wait to read this one too. These are such good books. I'm not going to sleep for the next 6 days.
And isn't it nice to have a book
a night?
A book with paper.
Oh,
and,
of course.
And it's so pretty. You never get to see
Of course.
the cover.
Can I tell you a secret?
Please. On
When
television,
when
yes.
I read a good book, whether it's on a Kindle or an iPad, and it's
Yeah.
good, I buy it and put it on my shelf.
That's right.
As does my daughter, and hopefully our baby Jude too.
That's
So,
great.
Yeah,
That's great.
No, books are a treasure.
Yes.
Especially books like this.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. This is wonderful.
Thank you.
So much fun to have you on the show.
And promote
good
books.
luck. And good luck with your bookstore. And do you have a website? Not yet.
We're working on it. It's going to be parnassusbooks.net.
Okay.
Oh, and Martha.
What?
I hear you're going on book tour this summer.
I will. Want me to come down?
Would you?
Yes,
we
I
would,
love
we
Nashville.
would absolutely love that. You all heard her say it.
Okay, I'll come to Parnassus.
Thank
I
you.
will. I
Thank
promise.
you.
So, and by the way, you're all going to go home with each book. So, we can have a lot of good reading material. And this is a reading audience, you can tell. We'll be right back.